talking to you.
No.
Oh,
It didn't click it off. Should be okay.
Yeah, that's that wrong. So- Great. It was so hot, it's like, yeah, that. That's not. Yeah, that's-
Hello.
hello. Nice cane you got there.
I said, I hope Sue think I ain't coming. You gonna switch off? Oh, I like this one. Oh, wow. Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
You're welcome. Oh, this one's warm.
As I done that hot car, my air don't work.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna, when I take it for the oil change, I'm gonna have Freon check.
Yeah.
Try to take it Monday. I didn't say nothing Monday, but I'll get my daughter's dead and died. I didn't want.
What?
My daughter's father died.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I'm with her trying to get her ready to go down there.
Oh,
Yeah, boy, he died for Monday when I was here.
oh,
He
really?
called me.
You've been hit with a lot of deaths in their family.
Ain't my family. It's our family. I didn't say, a lot of people ask a lot of questions, and I don't want to be asking a lot of questions about it.
Right.
So I just didn't say anything, and I'm definitely not gonna say anything at the church, because when my brother died, they, is that your granddaughter's daddy? How can my brother be my granddaughter?
Oh,
Cause my great granddaughter, they are my maiden.
mm-hmm.
And I'm like, she cracks the cheese.
Hi, Jan.
Hi.
Fine, how are you?
Hey, Jan. Yeah, so I'm just like,
Yeah, it's better sometimes not to say anything.
I know.
Yeah.
I used to it since she was 8 years old, 8 or 9.
Wow.
So you know how I feel.
Yeah.
She told me how many kids he got. I said, he took care of them. But Lord, they take care of them. You dated too, so I didn't know that. His family, they always ask about me, but I don't ever get to see any of them.
Mm-hmm.
They always ask. I used to see his mom all the time because she worked for the courts. I would go to outside, but after she finished, she don't bother me.
Lauren isn't coming.
Lauren's not coming?
No,
Who not coming?
Lauren,
Lauren,
Lauren
big
not
jerk.
she's sick? She thought she was Monday. She had a
yeah.
mask on. But she
Right.
thought she was, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
She wasn't sure whether it was
yesterday.
allergies or what, but
I was sick yesterday. That every time I go over there to this hospital, you got these women that's coughing and they don't tell them to put on no mask.
Oh,
And I caught myself sitting there far away from my candy. One was on this side of me and the other was on the other side. And coughing down and won't put on no mask every time. I felt so bad yesterday. And I'm like, and then they taking the germs into the rooms too.
yeah,
Right.
And nobody says anything. And this is every time I
what
go,
hospital?
Park Ridge out here,
Oh,
Lutheran
Lutheran
General?
General?
Lutheran General.
Wow.
Yeah, at the breast center. Ain't nothing up there but women.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, every time I go over here, I choose that because they so good and they so,
Yeah.
Yeah.
quick about taking you and everything, because you get there early, if they can take you, they take you. You don't have to sit there and wait for your appointment. And they are good, but
Well, we ran it, it might be just a photo.
Yeah.
Jeff is, well, maybe Jeff is usually here by now.
Right. Jeff did go.
Mhm.
Yeah. See,
Oh, we'll be done early.
yeah.
you'll be going home early.
Whoa.
As long as I've been going over there, I didn't know that the third level over there is all the breast center. And it's
Oh.
pink, and all you do, they got the, you just walk
Really?
right, oh my goodness, it's just, she said, you park on the third level and you just walk right in.
Wow.
And I'm like, huh? So I went on the
That's
third
the
level.
same way it is in Northwest Community.
And then there it is, you just walk
Really?
right on in.
That's
And
cool.
Yeah.
you don't have to take the elevator or nothing, and they'll just open.
Well, I
it.
have to take the Martin.
I've been
breast
going
centers
to the
on
first
the
level,
third.
taking the elevator up to 3 ever since I've been going over there. Didn't know until the lady told me, she said, no, you don't have to do
Wow.
that. She said, let's walk right in.
That's cool.
Yeah. It's a good hospital, but I just,
Yeah, it is.
and the ladies just, they not, they, to me, they just don't care.
Hmm.
The ones. And there's one lady, she was nervous. I guess she was her first time. She was real nervous. She said, can I hold your hand? I said, I'm okay. Well, then she wanted me to hold her hand.
Mhm.
So we talked, and when she got ready to go, I held her hand before she got in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was held her hand, because she was a little nervous. It's not my first time, so.
Oh. No Sue either.
Mm.
Maybe something's going on with Russ, or maybe her allergies.
I know she coughed a lot on Sunday.
Yeah.
Her allergies.
Yeah, I was, so
It's
losing
weather,
my
that's a-
thick skin.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's,
But her cough is allergy.
Right,
It's
yeah.
nothing.
but it's about my eyes burning like fire.
Mhm.
Yeah. Nothing's not.
Hi, Jeff.
Hi, Jeff.
You, yeah.
Hi. Hi. Looks like it's just gonna be us.
Okay.
Obviously,
Wayne picked up today,
Oliver.
right? He picked up,
What?
Wayne picked up the food.
Yeah.
today.
Yeah.
We were here earlier, we got the bag.
Oliver, I think, okay.
I don't know. I didn't see that email. I was but she read it to you
Yeah.
guys. Huh?
She read it to us.
It's not the church. He's upset about what's going on and that, so. I mean, but.
This is the place he should be if he's upset about that.
We believe in the Holocaust and all that stuff, and we don't, stuff. It's stuff that
His mind is so much
It's so out there.
out there and advanced from us.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he's a very bright guy. I mean,
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
very- He can just talk about That's, you know,
Yeah.
Babble.
well,
So it's-
yeah, he just.
Is that upset about it? That's, I feel bad for him, you know, because that's,
I do too. Because it, can you too?
I mean, I don't like what's going on over there either. but
No.
I can't do anything.
You know, with the children, even
Yeah.
here with the, you know, stuff going on, I
Oh.
don't like it, but what can I do about it?
Yeah,
I pray about it, that's what
mm-hmm.
that's about all you can
you
do.
can do,
Mm-hmm.
and put it in God's hand, you know.
Well, it's a little after 2. Should we just? we'll
Yeah,
start?
let's start.
Okay.
All right.
Yay.
All right, let us start with prayer. God, it's so simple to turn to you in prayer when something isn't right in our lives. When things go well, we don't always think to pray, and we thank you, Lord. Please help us to make prayer a continuous dialogue with you. Let us use prayer to invite you into the good and bad situations. Amen.
Amen.
I'm thinking about that. I pray if something's going wrong, but I don't pray something good happens.
Oh, really?
in my life.
Oh, I
Okay,
do.
you know.
I pray all the time.
Yeah, you got to do both of
mean,
them.
Yeah,
Yeah, you gotta do both of them, you gotta
just-
thank him here.
yeah, I do
I-
both.
I have to,
That sounds like my phone.
I have to keep reminding myself to do that.
Mm.
Because when good things happen, it's from God.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Like Jackie, did you hear
Mhm.
her? Jackie Claiborne,
Yeah, I did.
she came in and she's been living in a hotel and her parents have been using their savings to pay for the hotel and everything.
Mhm.
But now she's getting Section 8
Oh,
and she's moving into a house in Berlin on the 14th.
Wow.
And so I don't know who's helping her with Section 8, but she's gonna get Section 8.
I didn't know you could move into a house with Section 8. I guess you can.
Well, it's,
Yeah, they have all kinds
it's
of.
a rental one.
Oh,
yeah,
You know,
right,
there's
okay.
somebody below her who
Mhm.
had, a woman
it's
who's
like a
raising her
two-flat
12-year-old
or
grandson,
something.
and she's raising her 12-year-old grandson,
Mhm.
so.
Right, so it's like a 2-flat or something.
Yes, according to what you, cause I lost, I supposed to have it when I moved from over here, but they say I lost it cause I moved out the building, cause it, from August to, what, November, you can't give me my number?
Oh,
I ain't have time to wait on it. I'm ready to go.
yeah.
Yeah, but I was supposed to have had it, but I, you know, I don't have
I
it
guess this
now.
one is furnished and everything, so,
Well, that's good.
yeah.
Well, thank God.
And she came all just to tell us that she had housing finally.
Sue and Valentina.
And I
Hi, Valentina.
Hi.
I'm fine, there was some plan, but that's okay, she's good, sure.
no Lindsay though,
Yeah,
right?
she's coming,
Oh, is she?
yeah. My husband's changing the windshield wipers on my car and then he found out they weren't the proper size.
Oh,
Oh,
that's why I take mine to the dealer. You let him do it.
He said it's not easy to do, cause he with something I wouldn't be able to do.
I used to do all that.
oh,
I can do any of it anymore.
sorry. we're-
Yeah.
Hi.
No problem. We didn't miss.
No problem. We haven't started yet. Oh, we did do the prayer.
Oh, okay. Where did she?
Valentina, come here, please.
I hear it's pretty nice outside.
It is.
Oh, yeah.
Very nice.
And then tomorrow's supposed to be much cooler.
Oh,
Yeah, I can do.
I guess you're
You
gonna go.
could have just moved that chair.
Well, we're gonna share a
Yeah,
guy.
yeah.
That's a nice. New chair.
We got a lot of those chairs. I think Wayne said we got 30 of them or
Those
so.
mesh ones, those
Yeah.
new mesh ones. I wanna try one.
Yeah, I'm gonna try.
I guess his daughter-in-law company is going completely remote from home, so they closed everything in the office. And that's where he got about
That's okay.
30 of
Go
those
ahead.
chairs.
Oh, okay.
So we're gonna get rid of those brown ones.
Well, these.
Oh,
here-
good.
I don't think they're safe. I really don't.
These chairs.
Is it comfortable?
Yeah, they're sturdy.
Especially when they
They're
got the two
stable.
arms and that stuff.
Yeah, that's what I like.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
two arms.
Stable.
yes.
Yes.
Always good. Here, let me open the door.
Mhm.
All right. All right. The path of discipleship is rooted in prayer. And the focus question is, how does being rooted in prayer help you walk the path of discipleship? fellowship. The word of life. I am asking on their behalf. I am not asking on behalf of the world, but on behalf of those whom you gave me, because they are yours. All right, I will read John 17:16-19. I spelled out your character in detail to the men and women you gave me. They were yours in the first place, then you gave them to me, and they have now done what you said. They now know beyond the shadow of a doubt that everything you gave me is firsthand from you. For the message you gave me, I gave them. And they took it and were convinced that I came from you. They believe that you sent me. I pray for them. I'm not praying for the God-rejecting world, but for those you gave me, for they are yours by right. Everything mine is yours and yours is mine, and my life is on display in them. For I'm no longer going to be visible in the world. They'll continue in the world while I return to you. Holy Father, guard them as they pursue this life that you conferred as a gift through me, so they can be one heart and mind as we are one heart and mind. As long as I was with them, I guarded them in the pursuit of the life you gave through me. I even posted a lookout, and not one of them got away, except for the rebel bent on destruction, the exception that proved the rule of Scripture. Now I'm returning to you. I'm saying these things in the world's hearing, so my people can experience my joy completed in them. I gave them your word, the God world hated them because of it, because they didn't join the
Those are the
world's
Bible
way.
study, he does all the
Is that your brother?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's okay.
We understand.
Just as I didn't join the world's ways, I'm not asking that you take them out of the world, but that you guard them from the evil one. They are no more defined by the world than I am defined by the world. Make them holy, consecrated with the truth. Your word is consecrating truth. All right, wait a minute, these pages are not easy to turn. In the same way you gave me a mission in the world, I give them a mission in the world. I'm consecrating myself for your sakes,
God bless you.
so that there'll be truth consecrated in their mission. All right. It's okay, could you read the first paragraph and questions 1 and 2, please?
Before Jesus faces his arrest, trial, and crucifixion, Jesus prays for an extensive prayer on behalf of his disciples. If you have not read this prayer by Jesus recently, take time to read all of John 17. It provides a glimpse into the heart of Jesus and his priorities. What does it say about Jesus for him to spend time in prayer at this point in his life? What is your overall impression of his prayer? Well, I think it says that, I just lost my kind of thought. Up until the end, he's going to praise God and teach God's blessings. I think he's never giving up, even though he knows where he's going. He knows he's going to be crucified, but I think he also knows he's going to rise again. Your overall impression of this prayer? I think it's great. Pass it on to Jan.
I'm not gonna reveal from the paper the guide the full.
Okay, what does it say about Jesus for him to spend time in prayer at this point in his life? He's gonna continually pray. It's part of us. He teaches us to continually pray about all things and to depend on God and to go through because we're just like it's like we're lit in prayer because of Jesus is the vine and we're the branches. And so he wants us to continue doing that throughout our life. Overall impression of his prayer is like God be with him wherever he goes to do what he has to do and follow through on God's word. I pass it on to you, Lindsay.
I agree with everything that's been said, and I, just want to say and add that he's, Jesus was the ultimate teacher and he was leading by example. I think prayer is like the ultimate evangelism. I think that's the best way talk about God to people is just to pray, because I think no matter who or how we see God, it's, you're just talking to whoever your higher power is. So I think that was what he wanted to really stress, pray, and he wanted his disciples to go out and pray with people. So that's what I have to add, what's been said, and then I'm gonna pass it on to Jeff.
Okay, for one, I say, well, we're doing the Father's work and to protect the disciples from evil ones and to experience joy from Jesus and give that joy to others. That's number one. Number two, same as above. Now, okay.
I kind of agree that, like 1 and 2 should be combined because they asking your impression of it. But he was praying in behalf of his disciples because at the first beginning of this, if you read it, he knew he was preparing for his leaving them and what he had been through on earth. And it was his turn, like he was praying that because he was going to leave them out there, to take his word on after he was gone. That's why he said, you gave them to me. And he was praying in behalf of them. And overall, his impression was that he was just thanking God for what he had already gave him. I pass it on to you.
Thank you. Well, for question number 1, Jesus knew that he was gonna have a horrible thing happen to him. And the human side of him was probably scared. And just the fact that I think spending time in prayer gave him comfort, or gave him the strength to face what he knew was gonna be coming. And he was thinking about other people other than himself. What is your overall impression of his prayer? He was praying for his disciples. He wanted them to be protected from the evil one, because he knew they were going to be going out into the world to continue his mission. Right, Sue started. All right, Jan, you do not want to read, correct? Okay, Sue Springer, would you please read the next paragraph and questions 3 and 4?
Of course, the section of the prayer found in John 17 appears to be a continuation of a conversation between Jesus and God. Jesus had fulfilled his purpose. He has made known God's name and the words to the individuals whom God provided to him. Certain ones have heard and believe that Jesus has been sent by God. 3, how well do you think the plan of God worked during the life of Jesus? 4, would you have expected more people who witnessed the teachings and ministry of Jesus to have come to faith? Why or why not? How well do you think the plan of God worked during the life of Jesus? Well, God had it planned and he knew what his purpose was, and Jesus wanted to follow God's word, and the reason why he was sent here was his mission to spread the word and to the teachings and to know the follow the commandments and that stuff. How would you expect the people to witness the teachings and ministry of Jesus to have to come to faith? Some were overwhelmed and some were unsure about the situation. And then there were followers that believed in him. I'll pass it on to 3 and 4.
Yeah, I mean, it all went as he planned, number 3, but yeah, I mean, I don't know, it's hard to predict. I mean, obviously, we're still here worshiping God, there's still church, so I mean, that's good, but then, of course, we know the church has decreased, so it's like, what does that mean for the future? So, hundreds of years from now, will we still be talking about God and Jesus, so yeah, that's the tricky part. So yeah, I don't know, because it's hard, because I think now, like, okay, if somebody was out there right now claiming, like, put myself back in that time, would I have believed at that time if there was some guy going around saying, what Jesus was saying and doing, unless you were actually there and witnessed one of the miracles, I think, we would have all been skeptical. I think that's why people still to this day are skeptical. I mean, they were skeptical now, or then, so of course they are now. I'll pass it on to Jeff.
Okay, for number 3. Okay. I get my thoughts together. I think this worked 100% for Jesus because God wasn't going to have to like 40 or 60%, 100%. This is how he wanted, so it was 100%. Now, number 4, yes, there's some people are not sure and will wait, or they're not sure if it's working, and others happy, and just what does he say? He just can't wait. So now I'll pass on to you, Jenny.
Okay, number 3. I believe his plan worked, while he was on earth, it worked, and I think for his life, he knew the end of his life. That was the whole thing. He knew where his life was gonna end. So, and I think, again, you have to think maybe he was not praying for his life, but for the ones that was gonna follow him. And number 4, the witness and the teaching and the ministry were, it probably fell on some ears, some heard, and then it fell on deaf ears. You just, you don't know. It's just like today. The word, some people hear, they interpret it one way, and some others they interpret it another way. But the word is the same. It doesn't change. But, and if you don't want to accept it as it is, you want to interpret it your way. And I think that's the why not, that we don't, people that don't accept it because they don't want to accept it, the word as it is. I'll pass it on to you.
Thank you. Well, for question number 3, I think the plan of God worked well during the life of Jesus. Jesus knew what his mission was. He didn't get distracted. He knew what he had to do, and he did it. And would you have expected more people who witnessed the teachings and ministries of Jesus to have come to faith? People are human. I think it would be unrealistic to think everybody that heard Jesus's words would want to follow them. Because I think once people really understood what it meant to follow Jesus, I'm sure a lot of them just said, too hard, forget it. So I guess that's my answer. So I'll pass it on to Sue Kay.
Okay, I think his plan, God's plan worked well during the life of Jesus. And Jesus really followed what God said, because he believed in him and he trusted him as his father. And would you have expected more people who witnessed the teachings? I don't know. I don't think so. I think, people are gonna make up their own minds what they want to do and what they want to believe and what they want to hear. So I'm not sure if I would expect more people to witness. And I pass it on to Jan.
I agree with what has been said. Something to have foot and to foot.
Okay, nice.
Oh, okay.
All right, Lindsay, could you please read the next paragraph in question 5?
Okay, the focus of Jesus' prayer shifts to include his followers. He knows the struggles of this world and the difficulty of keeping on the path of discipleship, so he prays on their behalf. He doesn't include the whole world, but focuses on those who have connected with him. Jesus is about to die, but he pauses for prayer on behalf of others. Isn't that so like Jesus? Why do you think it was important for Jesus to hold his disciples in prayer? With exception to Judas, they all connected with him. And that's who, are his followers. And then back to what I said, the original or to last question, he led to example. So this is just him leading by example how important prayer is to connect with God and others. Pass on to Jeff.
Okay, well, I should keep in focus on his commitments and not get distracted by other things. So I'll pass it to you, Jim.
Yeah, I think the important thing was for his disciples because his prayer was for them because he was leaving them. Again, he was leaving them, and the prayer was, for them. They got to go out into the world that he done walked through, and he wasn't treated good. And I don't think the prayer was that it would be easier for them, which we don't, we know that it probably wasn't. I'll pass it on to you.
Okay, well, Jesus needed to hold his disciples in prayer because he knew he was sending them out to continue his mission, and he knew that most every one of them would run into some rough times, and some might even be killed or thrown into prison. You know, so he was just praying to keep them strong and watch over them. Pass it on to Sue.
Okay, I think, it was important for him to hold his disciples in prayer. So that what they would be inspired enough to carry on the work started. And I think, disciples needed his Jesus' strong faith and love. So now I pass it on to Jan.
I agree with from her explanation.
Okay, why do you think it was important for Jesus to hold his disciples in prayer? Because he wanted his mission to be complete and,
Right.
and his word to be spread in the gospel. And they were going to, once he knew he was going to die, that they were going to continue on his work. So he was going to give them the strength and to help them through all the things, because this was also a very testing time for them, because they were going to lose their Messiah. This was going to be devastating to them, and he wanted them to be strong. So I pass it on to you, Lindsay.
Okay, and I
Lindsay
started.
So Jeff, could you read the next paragraph of question 6?
Okay, Jesus reminds God that these followers were given to Jesus by God. The link between mine and yours becomes solidified in a single unit for ours. 6. What is Jesus trying to address this part of the prayer? Have one continuous line from God to Jesus to disciples, all in one. Just keep
Whatever.
so. That's it. So I'll pass it on to you.
I'm gonna pass it on. I'm gonna let it go. We'll let it go.
This isn't the easiest question.
No, it's a tough one.
Maybe Jesus is trying to address that maybe the disciples have the power of God and Jesus behind them. I mean, what God had, he gave to Jesus, and then what Jesus had, he gave to the disciples. I mean, I honestly, this is very hard. I'm not sure. So I'll pass it on to Sue.
Well, I'm very doubtful about it too, but I wrote that we who believe are all one. We all become one. And that's my only answer. I pass it on to Jan.
Oh, thank you.
It's a tough question.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to pass it on to
No. Thing is Jesus loved all of us and he cared about everyone. And he expressed that it wasn't just him he was looking out for, he was looking out for everyone, because he loved everyone and wanted his word to be complete. Yes,
Yeah, I agree with what's been said and adding on to it. Yeah, he was meant to save the world, and that's what he tried to do all the way till the end. Pass on to Jeff.
Okay.
You started, so Jetty, could you please read the next paragraph of questions 7 and 8?
Prayer becomes a competitive and protective for the followers of Jesus. Jesus is not concerned about protecting his disciples against the powers of the world, but the desire to protect them from division amongst themselves. This prayer is for Christians' unity. Jesus experienced complete joy when all of his followers are united in one. What makes it difficult for Christians to get along with each other? And how do you think non-Christians view that division? I don't know for sure, but I do know that I, with Christians, I, if we show the non-believers, that we are not on the same side as Jeff, well, Jeff, you know, he did this or he did that, you know, that the unbelieving person is not gonna see Christ as you supposed to portray him. So I think that we need to like find a path to get along. And I'm not gonna say you can get along with everybody in the church, because I know in my church, you know, you got the ones that think they are up here and you're down here. So what I do, I just speak and keep going. I don't have conversation from, if they say something to me, I'll say something to them. But you're looking down at me and you're supposed to be a Christian, so I don't want nobody that's, if they dare a non-Christian to see that there may be a division there between us. So I just speak. Because, you know, you're gonna have that where everybody's not gonna get along with each other. But I think as Christians, we need to be able to walk beside it and let it slide. Don't let the, because you don't know who you got in your church at one time, you know, because we have a lot of visitors at our church, you know, and you don't know where they at with their Christian life. So, and I think 7 and 8 is together. Non-Christians do view us. And the thing, just like if you go to the grocery store and you get loud in the grocery store, and then, you know, like for example, somebody may walk in the pantry here and say, "Oh, you're part of a church, and I heard you, you know, in the store acting up." You got to be like, you're in the spotlight as a Christian. So you have to wear that the clothing all the time. You can't change. You got to keep it, you know, going. That's why I say it. Because the non-Christian, I've heard a lot of people that have been in the church, like my daughter, for instance. Now, she has some bad experience. She don't go to church. She was raised in the church, but bad experience from supposed to be Christians. Me, I had some too, but you know, I know what God can do. She haven't got there yet. See, for me, I know what he can do. I know I can heal and all that stuff, but she haven't got there yet, and she doesn't see what he did for me yet. So we just have to, you know, like pray for that. That's another situation. I'll pass on to you.
Oh, thank you. Well, I think you have different, sometimes you have different Christian denominations that think the way they worship is really the only way
Mhm.
to worship, and anyone else is wrong. And even in the Lutheran Church, you have like the Wisconsin Synod, the ELCA, the Missouri Synod,
Mhm.
and there's differences between
Right.
them.
Oh, yeah.
True.
You
I
know,
know that.
Yeah.
There's a big difference.
and if these synods are all Lutheran, but you know,
The name only, huh?
yeah, name only, that's the thing. I think there are some Christian denominations that really don't really read what the gospel says. And they don't try to live like that. And how do you think non-Christians view the divisions? I can see them saying, why should I be a Christian if, oh, that's, you know, why could I be a Christian if you guys can't even get along? You know, and then again, and then I would think the devil views this stuff, you know, he's sort of rubbing his hands like, oh, you know, they
But,
can't.
You
It
know,
just,
I'm sorry, but you know, when you come into church, you bring the devil in with you. I know.
Well, he's everywhere.
Yeah, because this lady came into church one Sunday, she had been a long time, and I said something to her, she snapped at me just like that. I asked her to open the door for her, she snapped at me again. She came in there with him in there, and she left out of there with him in her. And it's like, you bring him in with you, it's just how you address him.
right, yeah. Yeah,
I'm sorry.
no, it's okay. All right, I'll pass it on to
Well, I don't have much more to add, but other than, everybody thinks differently. Everybody has their own idea of everything. They have their own opinion. I think, that makes it difficult.
Yes.
And I'm not gonna answer number 8. I'll pass it on to Jan.
Mm, I agree with everyone. So many expert things.
What makes it so difficult for Christians to get along with each other because they have different viewpoints and they're human. And also it's not for us to judge. God knows all that they walk and to like go and put it in God's prayer and still be a role model for Christ and do his work. Okay. What do you think about non-Christians who view their divisions? Well, some non-Christians are just, you need to open your ears and be open-minded and listen, but also pray for those people. We're all God's people. They may misinterpret things and are human. And hopefully they'll find the word is true. Okay, it's 7 and 8.
Pass that answer.
Yeah.
Okay, I agree with what's been said for number 7. Number 8, I think it's hard for non-Christians to then be sold on Christianity then. So like, well, hey, if you guys can't agree on it, then how am I supposed to believe this? So it brings up a lot of questioning of faith in itself and makes it out like we're hypocrites. And I know I've even heard my own mom say about her sister, because her sister's been in part of a couple different denominations over the years. You know, they grew up Catholic, but then and I think she's Baptist or she's, evangelist now or something, one of those. And I don't know, but it's like, yeah, it makes it hard then to, I guess, quote unquote, sell something, and pass on to Jeff.
Okay. For number 7, I think there's different teachings or versions of philosophy in teaching God's way. I think that's it, so you're trying to, it's so different ways, just different versions. Okay, number 8. I think they sometimes are confused or perplexed. Why is there so many divisions or major ones or minor ones, whatever? And why don't they just get along? They're supposed to be. So that's it. I'll pass it on to you.
Hey, Jenny started, so I
I
will
want to
read.
say something.
Go ahead.
Okay, when I came to work in the pantry, remember? And the first year y'all had the lit service. I wanted to come so bad. It was just unreal. And I said, they're not gonna welcome me, and I was afraid to say anything to anybody, But the next year I said, you think it's okay if I come? I was like whispering, like, you think it's okay if I come to, during the lit week?
Right.
Yeah, because I was so nervous because, like you said, the Lutherans are different. And the school that my granddaughter was going to, you couldn't participate in nothing but the service because the fact that she was at the school, communion or nothing. So, and I was so afraid to say anything, to you guys, and then y'all just welcome me, and I'm like, you see,
We're true Lutherans.
Huh?
We're true Lutherans.
Yeah, yeah, you are, when I thank God for you guys too. Thank God, that's all.
Okay, no, thank you for sharing. Jesus recognizes that his disciples live in the world, but are not of the world. Thus, followers who desire to stay on the path of discipleship are going to need assistance, especially when they are sent to bear witness to Jesus. It is not an easy path. Jesus prays deeply on behalf of his disciples. Question 9, how does it feel to have Jesus pray for you? Comforting. I feel thankful that he thinks enough of me that he's going to pray for me. Even though I'm a flawed human being and I don't always do what,
Right? We're all-
so I pass it on to Sue.
Well, I kind of agree with Judy. I think it's a great feeling to know that Jesus is praying for me and that he loves me. He wouldn't be praying for me if he didn't love me. So I really think it's a great thing. I'm so thankful and comforted by it. And I pass it on to Yeah,
and do
Dan.
I get peace and calm in my life. For number 8,
Mhm.
from into heaven.
How does it feel to have Jesus pray for you? Well, God accepts us for who we are. I mean, we're full of sin, but you know what? He still accepts us and died for us and loved us, and he showed unconditional love, that he came here for a purpose, so we would be here and spread his word and also continue moving on.
Mhm.
Okay, Jeff.
Okay, well, I can agree with everyone said, so. So, pass it on.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, I feel great. I'm like, I'm overjoyed to know, that like what they say it like me, a sinner, a wretch undone, like my life, and everything. And he's got me in his hand.
Uh-huh.
He died. He did everything for me. I pass it on to you.
I started, so I guess. All right, I guess, okay.
Jacob knelt beside his bed and began his prayers. Now I lay me down to sleep. His mother watched for her rocking chair as she began her own prayers for her beloved son. Her prayer was a mother's prayer as she prayed for God's protection for him. Slowly, her head began to shake back and forth as she pondered all the ways her son might be harmed. These are tough times for trying to follow Jesus. Continuing to pray long after Jacob had drifted off to sleep. Who in your life needs a prayer for protection? I think we all do.
Mhm.
I think everybody in my life needs a prayer for protection. And I pass it on to Jan.
I live in this bed in my life. So I'm going to pay for them before.
Who in your life needs a prayer for protection? We all do. So, for God to protect us the way the world is, and we trust and believe in him that he will protect you and keep you safe. And he will give you strength to go forward daily. And this is what we're asking. Again, who's in your life needs prayer for protection.
I agree with what's been shared, so I passed on to Jeff.
Okay, well, I agree with everyone, my family, friends like that. So that's it. That's a simple way. That's all to you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I lay me down to sleep. The first prayer we learned was, I lay me down to sleep. As I go to sleep, I pray the Lord to take my soul. If I should die before I wake, I pray that my soul to take. That was the first prayer that we learned as kids. So when I saw that, I said, well, you know what? We all need that protection as I lay me down to sleep. Because when we lay down, we don't know what's going to happen.
Well, all right, my answer is probably gonna be the same. Everyone in my life needs a prayer for protection. I mean, people I know don't know. People living in war zones need prayers for protection. All right, Jan, you don't want to read, correct? Okay, Sue Stringer, could you read the next
Okay.
paragraph and
Okay,
questions?
take a moment to pray. Allow the Spirit to open your heart, voice, and spirit. How often do we simply stop activities to pause for prayer? How often do we? A lot of times we do. When I'm at a stoplight and I see what's going on around me, and it's like it's like the way person is driving recklessly and not cautiously. It's like, please, Lord, protect me. Open that guy's eyes and keep me safe. And I pray a lot of times silent prayers to God, and I know He hears me. Restricts us from praying on behalf of others. Sometimes we get self-centered and get selfish. And we need to think of all the others besides ourselves, not just us. That's okay, 2 and 3.
Yeah, I agree with what's been shared. And yeah, I think there's like praying to yourself and also like praying out loud. I don't know how often like any of us pray out loud. I think, yeah, it's definitely like silent prayers to myself. And yeah, I think, we can't pray for everything all the time, maybe. There's so much going on all the time. So for number 3, that can kind of maybe stop us. We might forget. I'll pass it on to Jeff.
Okay, for number 2, don't have enough time to stop and pray. You don't take enough time. Stop and pray. You should. And number 3, okay, what restrictions, not really, more if I may a little bit about myself, but mainly pray for others. That's the right, have long lives for everyone else, so move on.
Okay. All right, for question number 2, I probably don't stop often enough. Here, you want to answer?
I looked at question number
and
2,
3?
I used to stop and pause and pray, I don't do it as much. And, now did you see it in black and white, you think about, why did you stop? Because I used to stop doing stuff, pause and pray. Even when I was at work, didn't nobody know it, I stopped doing what I was doing. But number 3, I'm always praying on somebody else's behalf. Because it seems like the world is so needy now, and there's so many, even here on Monday, you see the folks, some of them they really need. And you look at yourself and you may need, but you're not in the same position that they in. So I pray on behalf of others.
All right, thank you. I probably don't do it often enough. A lot of times, my husband watches the news. If there's some like breaking news, some really awful thing that's happened, I will
Awful
pray, not out loud, but I'll pray it in my head. What restricts us from praying on behalf of others? I really don't. Nothing really stops me from praying on behalf of other people. I think sometimes if I let myself get caught up in what's going on during the day, I don't remember to do it as often as I should. So I pass it on to you, Sue.
Okay, how often do we simply stop activities? I do it all the time. When I see an ambulance go by, I say a prayer. When I see an accident, I say a prayer.
Yeah.
And then we started, for some reason, not this the last Monday, but the Monday before, I decided we're gonna start our food pantry day by inviting our guests to pray with us. First day we got 1. This last Monday, everybody that was in the room, there had to be 15 people in there, came in and we prayed together. And I think I stop all the time and pray for people, especially when you said the news. When you hear bad things on the news, I always stop and pray.
That I do. Yeah.
And what restricts us from praying on behalf of others? Nothing restricts me from doing that. Nothing.
Nothing.
And I pass it on to Jan.
I'm planning all the time for people in my life and people that I don't know. Happy one. So I'm going to pay for them for
And I started.
Sue started. So Lindsay, could you please read the next paragraph in questions 4 and 5?
When the disciples asked Jesus to teach them how to pray, he taught them the Lord's Prayer. Matthew 6 and Luke 11. The words of the Lord's Prayer reflect the priorities the disciples of every age are to have. The prayer in John 17 is an extensive prayer spoken by someone preparing for his own journey to death. It reflects his priorities. What can you learn about Jesus through his prayer? How does his prayer compare and contrast to your prayers? Well, I feel like it kind of tells you in here that, it tells you the priorities that, he believes we should have. And I would say my prayers are zilch compared to his, what he went through. I mean, I didn't go on a cross, I wasn't crucified. So I'm thinking like the most extreme, case. So yeah, and I know something I say sometimes when I pray is I'm like, I know there's a lot going on, God. Thank you for your time for me, because being in control of everything. And that's what I have to say. I pass it on to Jeff.
Okay, number 4. Okay. Not from Jesus doing it. His mission or commitments from God to us in dealing with everyday problems and everything else like that, how maybe we could handle it. And number 5, I said, well, there's no comparison. Jesus is more concise, focused, and sees beyond my needs. So can't top that. He topped me. So yeah.
Oh, I'll pass it on to you.
Thank you. For question number 4, I mean, Jesus was facing death, and instead of praying for himself, he was praying for his disciples. He was praying for other people other than himself. And how does his prayer compare and contrast to your prayers? Well, there isn't any comparison. I'm not going to be crucified, so I mean, I can't. So I don't think there's any way to compare his prayer with my prayer. So I pass it on to Sue.
Okay, I agree with what is said. I think what I've learned more about Jesus is his total love. And I think everything begins with love. We can't have anything else if we don't have love. And I think he has taught us all that through his prayers. And for number 5, I don't think there is any comparison or contrast between his prayers and mine. And I pass it on to Jan.
I read with for rapid it and so I'm going to pay for and to full.
Okay, what can you learn about Jesus through his prayer? Jesus' prayers were without ceasing. He was praying and thanking God for each day and for all things and all the challenges he had to go through. And this is in the Bible to pray without ceasing. In other words, give God the glory. And he did give God the glory, Father, and all through all. And what does his prayer compare and contrast to your prayers? His prayers were probably unconditional, always for all people, not just himself. He was, I pass it on.
And you started, Lindsay. So
Yeah.
Jeff, could you please read the next 2 paragraphs and
Oh,
questions?
okay.
7 and 8?
Jesus prayed for unity among his disciples to be more like the unity between Jesus and God. That's a powerful image. Take a moment to imagine what Christians might do if we were linked as closely to Jesus as God. Of course, our link would be need to include the Holy Spirit and unknown powers. As Christians, it's important to reflect on the divisions among believers. In over 2,000 years since Jesus lived on earth, there are many times of significant conflicts and splits, even among the congregations. There can be strife and divisions. I'm going to just read there in the next paragraph after that too. So, number 6, we have we totally failed at this prayer petition to be one? Number 7, what tends to divide Christians from other Christians? And 8, what we do to live the prayer for unity spoken by Jesus? The disciples were set out into the world to be witnesses. Jesus is well aware that disciples, including us, will be hated by the world. Some may die a martyr's death, others will be rejected and persecuted. Thus, Jesus prays earnestly for his answers. Point number 6. Okay. If we totally failed at prayer petition to be what, this one? Yes, most of the time. Number 7, what tends to divide Christians from other Christians? Philosophy, doctrines, their versions, stuff like that, Like I'm better, my part is better than yours, so. At number 8, what we do to live in the prayer for unity spoken by Jesus. Try to understand, live up to Jesus' standards. Okay?
Okay, I'm just gonna say something about number 8. What might we do to build a prayer for unity spoken by Jesus? Pray for each other, keep each other lifted up. And always remember what God has done and what he can do. Pass it on.
Okay. Have we totally failed at this prayer petition to be one? I think for the most part, because there's still divisions between different branches of Christianity. What tends to divide Christians from other Christians? I think people don't really listen to what other people are saying. They think their ways are the only right way. They don't want to listen to any other point of view. What might we do to live the prayer for unity spoken by Jesus? I think really stop and listen to what other people are saying and try to find some area of commonality between each other. And like Jenny said, pray for everybody. And I pass it on to.
I have nothing to add and I pass it on to Jan.
Oh. I'm going to pay for them to school.
I have nothing else to add. I agree with what's been said.
Yeah, for 6, I would say yes. I agree with what's been said for number 7. And number 8, I just have to remember. Pass on to Jeff.
Right,
Okay.
Jenny, could you read the last 2 paragraphs of questions 9 and 10?
Disciples are sent out into the world to be witnesses. Jesus is well aware that his disciples include us, who will be hated by the world. Some may die martyr deaths, others will be rejected and persecuted. Thus, Jesus' prayer honestly for his followers. We can learn much from this prayer in our own life. Take time to note how much of the prayer has to do with Jesus and his own challenge. How much time does Jesus spend in prayer for others? And what can we learn from prayer from Jesus? I think his whole life on earth was prayer for others. And what we can learn is to be faithful and pray, just pray faithful prayers and just wait on the Lord's answer. I'll pass it on.
Well, I agree with Jenny, so I'm gonna pass it on to Sue.
Okay, how much time does Jesus spend in prayer for others? All of his time. He doesn't pray for himself, he always prays for other people. And I'm gonna skip number 10. I pass it on to Jan.
I'm not going to read 0.
Okay.
From the pay for them to school.
Where are we? Okay, 9 and 10.
Mhm.
What's really fun is you spend the prayer for others. We always pray for others. Always. Well, what can we learn from this? Follow his example and do the same.
I agree with what's been shared, and I want to say prayers for all because we're all his. I'll pass it on to Jeff.
Okay, for 9, I think like, how much time Jesus spends, always, 99%, or
Mhm.
99.9. And number 10, really number 8 kind of answers that question, so. And that, I think that's it. You pass it off.
All right, Jenny started, so I think we'll read the prayer at the bottom of the page.
Mighty God,
continue to protect us as we walk the path of discipleship. Unite us with others of your disciples. Amen. And the last word, this week, take the opportunity to publicly pray for unity among Christians. And would anybody like to lead this? If not, I'll do it. I'll do it. Okay. Okay, thank you, everybody. Thank you for meeting today. Thank you for leaving out.
Thank you for the copy.
Yeah, I know. I will. Go right over. Oh, okay.
Yeah.